Welcome to CAN TV 21 Hotline. Let's talk etiquette. It's a pleasure to be here once again with you. But of course, as you can see, my co-host is not here this evening. However, she will return next Wednesday, so just make sure you stay tuned for her return to Let's Talk Etiquette here on CAN TV. But I'm very excited to do a show on this particular subject because this subject here is one of the more interesting subjects regarding etiquette. But I want you to give me a call. Please give me a call at 312-738-1060 so you can join in with me on this great subject. For those who remember our topic for last week, we talked about etiquette in the school and the programs we've conducted over the last 20 years in Chicago and suburban schools. But what we've done this past year was to send out flyers to the schools in an effort to educate the principals of those schools so they can have some sense of what the subject is all about and how important it is for our young people to learn this great discipline. It's manners and morals, and that is the foundation of our individual and collective humanity. If we don't have this skill, then who are we? And if we don't understand its value, then what are we going to become? Okay, so this is core to any educational foundation that you would like to ever have in your life. Etiquette is extremely important because it teaches you the values of the culture that we now are members of. And that value system goes back hundreds, even thousands of years that allow for us to organize as human beings into a cohesive social system. And so without that, we really we would be everywhere, and what would we accomplish? Very little would be accomplished if we weren't organized socially so that we can accomplish those great things that we have the ability to do. And so I decided, as Executive Director of the Etiquette Foundation, to start a flyer campaign out to the schools so that hopefully someone would pick up one of our text messages and fax messages and then pass it on to see that this may be of some benefit to that particular school and for those students. So what we're going to do today, we're going to put on the overhead one of those fax flyers so that you can have a sense of what that subject is all about. And so what we decided to do is to call it, let me move it down so you can see it here. There it is. Solution for Failing Schools. Behavior Education. Our children are out of control. They do not follow classroom instructions very well. They are disrespectful to their teachers. They cannot learn in a disruptive classroom environment. 2 or 3 minor disruptions in the class hour can have significant impact on teacher morale, learning, and on grades. So this is the beginning of what we are laying down as our reasoning for teaching this subject, for understanding this discipline, for educating our teachers so that they will understand, or our principals, so they will understand the importance of it. Now I'm going to go back to the overhead again so we can continue to read through this. Solution, yes, this is what we need. This is why our schools are failing, because we don't have a solution to the problems that our schools are facing. Behavior education. Behavior education. Teaching our young children how to behave. That's an educational process. We at the foundation believe Behavior education is teaching the rules of etiquette, including respect for oneself and for others. Behavior education is teaching manners of how to behave in any given situation. Understanding the logic and reasoning governing civilized behavior. So important. Behavior education is teaching moral principles. The difference between right and wrong. Truth and honesty. So when you talk about those kinds of subjects, those very critical kinds of values that are essential in creating the right kind of human being. And I say the word right kind of human being because we can create the wrong kinds of human beings, and we're very good at doing that. And we see the consequences when the person who is a child who becomes an adult has been miseducated. And as a consequence, they are not in conformity with society. They are not real contributors to what we as a society are trying to accomplish. So they need to be educated in etiquette. So let's move on with this overhead here so we can discuss some of these other points. Okay? Behavior education is teaching moral principles, the difference between right and wrong, truth and honesty. Behavior education is teaching Johnny how to solve problems and be a critical thinker so that he will have the social tools to excel in school and in life. So that's the formula. That's a crucial formula if we want Johnny to be a successful, positive contributor to society. And why not? We should not want that. Because Johnny has all of the prerequisites to be all of those wonderful things in this society. A true contributor to the health and welfare of society. He won't learn that in math. He will not learn it in English. He will not learn it in history unless he's teaching the history of etiquette. So the only real true subject that Johnny can learn to be this high quality and beautiful human being is by his behavior and his value system. And so this is what we're trying to bring to the schools with behavior education. Let's move on to the overhead again so we can continue down. Behavior education is the missing link in our educational system. So you can reach the Etiquette Foundation at that information there. Okay? So that's one flyer that we have sent out through text messages as well as emails as well as faxes. The fax messages are a real easy way to do it because most schools have fax machines. And so we sent out maybe, I would say maybe 200 of those fax flyers. And we've gotten about a 10% response thus far. And we're going to continue these fax messages or fax flyers to increase the awareness of what the Etiquette Foundation does and what it can do to contribute to the well-being of your school, be it public or charter or private. But I want to move on to one of our others. I brought two of our flyers in to discuss it for this show here. And then this is another one I think is very interesting. We created about, I would say maybe 6 or 7 of these different topics for our flyer campaign. So let's take a look at this one here and go over it. So let me get it lined up. Okay, conflict resolution. Do your students have problems resolving disputes? Are there fights inside and outside of your school? Have you ever considered teaching your students etiquette, the rules of social discourse? Now, that's a question we pose to our educators because they do not seem to have a solution. It's just what we see, the data is clear. They do not have a solution to the misbehaving of our students in the school. Now, the only solution they've put forth so far is metal detectors. Security guards now are armed with firearms on them in the schools, using force and intimidation and threats by law enforcement. Now, is that really a solution? That's almost like saying they are not trainable. They are not educated. They're not. They don't have the ability to be educated. Okay, so that is what the schools are saying today. We need metal detectors. We need to search our children. We need to put locks on the doors. It's almost like a reform school or detention camp, what our schools are turned into. But all of these young people are teachable. They can be educated. And I know it and you know it that they can. Because a 5-year-old is not corrupt, is not hostile in most cases. A 6-year-old is an innocent human being. A 7-year-old is innocent. They learn how to be the way they become. And so the Etiquette Foundation is most interested in letting the schools know that there is a solution to solving this awesome problem. And yes, it affects the entire morale of the school when you have these kinds of conditions. And some of the schools, and especially the high schools, the students are reading at below 20% of the students are reading below grade level. 20% of the students are reading below grade level. And so, I'm sorry, let me restate that. 20% of the students are reading at grade level. I apologize about that. They're reading at grade level. 80% are reading below grade level. So if they can't read, then how are they going to function in society? Okay? So let me move on and talk about some of the other things on this particular overhead. Okay, and I move down. Our society is based on rules governing civilized behavior. Acts of violence to resolve disputes is universally considered uncivilized behavior. And so, this is just an example of why it's so important to teach this subject, starting in the first grade at the very first part of their education. First grade is a great level to start educating our young people in this wonderful subject. First graders, second graders, third graders, they just so open to receive this information so that they can internalize it at that level. Then their value system is so enhanced because there are certain things, if you're teaching at that age, they just will not do when they get 7, 8, 9, or 15, or 20, or 30. They just won't do these things because they're indifferent to their value system. And this is what we would like to do here at the Foundation, is incorporate some solid values within our young people. And if they see the value of these values, then they will adopt them for themselves. And if they adopt them for themselves, then they're going to be much better human beings. And yes, we can stop the violence. We can stop the murders. We can stop the killings. But we have to educate our students and our adults as they get into adulthood about why you should not behave in this manner. That there's a wonderful alternative to not behaving in this manner. So we at the Etiquette Foundation would like to encourage all of the schools, be you a teacher in the classroom, principal in the front office, or just a citizen who have children in a school who they believe could benefit from this. So if you believe your school can benefit, that your child attends, then you should contact us, because we would be more than happy to go to that school and talk to that principal to see if they would be interested in having us come and educate those young people in that school. And it's just a positive step forward. Plus, your child will benefit immensely as a consequence of it. And it's not like you teaching your child as an individual etiquette, and it's certainly a huge benefit to do that. But it's much better in a classroom setting or in a school, because we are teaching the entire classroom how to behave. So then they will role play what they are learning or have learned in our program among themselves, like how to just be respectful to one another, just how to be polite to one another. So they'll take on these traits and attributes, and then they will inculcate them in their personality simply within each other. And the rules are all the same. So no matter what you teach your child, the rules that the other child is learning are the same set of rules. And so when they are learning in an environment that mimics society, it's a mini society, it's a small society. And if they're mimicking a small society, then they'll learn how to use these skills in a repetitive manner, because they have the opportunity to do it in a school setting. And so we're encouraging the parents who have students at a given school, or children at a given school, then this would be an excellent opportunity so that entire class will learn how to have good etiquette skills. And so all of the things we are witnessing, from bullying and intimidation and name calling and threats that our children come home and tell us about, someone intimidated them or called them a name or picking on them or bullying them, all of those things will not happen in a group of students or in a classroom where the students have been trained in etiquette. You won't have the bullies, because the bullies will realize that's just something they should not do and conduct and behave in. So that's the benefit of having a classroom learn etiquette as opposed to an individual in their home. But what we also do for those schools, we have etiquette reinforcement materials that we send home by the student to the parent, so that the parent would know exactly what that lesson for that day is, and then they can continue that lesson in real time with their child in the home. So it's a beautiful relationship for the parent and the school to engage in this effort to raise some outstanding young people, so that we can rid ourselves of this very low period in our history where we're witnessing murders after murders and shootings after shootings, and this whole area of degeneracy that we are experiencing at this time in our history. So that's what our solution is here at the Etiquette Foundation, is to teach this discipline starting in the first grade all the way through college. And we do college classes on professional comportment, because the continuum continues throughout that individual's education. So please give us a call at 312-738-1060 if you have any questions on this subject. So in closing, I want to just go over a few things regarding how we as a foundation come into being, so that you can get some sense of our history. We started this foundation in 2002, but we also, I've been in the business since 1995 through the Excel, the Etiquette Company. And from there in 2002, we started the Etiquette Foundation of Illinois. And the reason we started the foundation is because we realized that this was a statewide problem as well as a national problem. And so we decided to start the chapter here in Illinois, the Etiquette Foundation of Illinois, so that we can reach out to other states in the future and have coalitions on this particular subject. But however, we wanted to make a statement about how important it is for us as adults to begin to treat each other in a more respectful manner, in a more considerate manner. Just neighborness is such an important quality for a community, to have great neighbors in your community. And etiquette is at the foundation of all of that. Our very essence is based on our behavior, and there are a set of rules in this society, especially in terms of our behavior and how we behave. And so we felt this is a core discipline that impacts all of us. There's no one free to not be impacted by etiquette or lack of it. So if you want, you parents out there, if you want a solution to failing schools, a solution to violence in the community as well as in the school, then we are the foundation that you should contact, because this discipline is very powerful, extremely powerful. And I would guarantee you one semester at your local school, and even with one classroom, you will see such a profound difference in those young people for just a 1-year education in etiquette. And they will be set for life, going forward for life, because their values are who they are. You are who your values say you are. And if you have quality values, then you are at a special place in life and in society. And so that's the key to changing the tragedies that we are witnessing today, and we pretend like there's no solution. There is a solution. It's called education. We at the foundation call it behavior education. So there is a solution. It's just a matter of our educational leaders, be they principals or superintendents, with their doctor's degrees and all of that, as though they have all the answers, but our schools are still failing. Even if they say they have all the answers, why aren't their answers effective? I would tell you, those doctors, that this is the solution. This is the solution. I have no doctor's degree at all, so I don't have a PhD, but it wasn't that difficult to figure out what the problem was. And there is a solution. So let me just briefly, real quick, before we close out the show, I just want to put up this first little paragraph here so that we can read that again. Behavior education. Our children are out of control. They do not follow classroom instruction very well. They are disrespectful to their teachers. They cannot learn in a disruptive classroom environment. Now, that's pretty obvious, because they do not know the rules of behavior. So how do you expect them to behave in a certain manner if they do not know the rules of how to behave in a certain manner? So with that, I'm going to close the show out. Thank you for taking a few moments, but I'm going to give you our information so you can contact us. You can call us at 312-473-2942, or you can email us at info@efoi.org. And next week, we will return with my wonderful co-host, Ms. Georgia Selman, for another dynamic show on this awesome subject. With that said, have a great evening and a safe, wonderful weekend.